Welcome along to 98 Out, the cricket podcast. Welcome to all our regular subscribers and listeners, and also welcome to people that are new to this. If you are new, where have you been? We've been going for 4 years. Make sure you subscribe, tell your friends, and join the party. Today, I'm talking to Andre Nel. Andre, welcome along. Great to see you and speak to you. How are you, sir?
Hello, Darren. Thanks for having me. Nice to be on the show, and hopefully I can share some interesting stories.
Yeah. So, a glittering career in South Africa, playing Test cricket for South Africa. You played ODI. In fact, I think you played pretty much every format of the game, including some franchise stuff. And you've now arrived at Chelmsford Cricket Club. We'll get to Chelmsford in a minute, but just winding back, just tell us about your early days playing cricket as a youngster down in South Africa. What was it that got you into the game?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I wasn't a big cricket player. I was actually more of a rugby player, and I played cricket to stay busy.
And you got the build.
When I turned 15, 16, I got slightly taller and bigger. I was more of a batsman who bowled a little bit. I started bowling a bit quicker. And then eventually I started hitting someone on the body, and I saw the pain on their face. I thought, this could be quite enjoyable. And so from there on, sort of taking off playing more cricket than rugby. And when I was 18, 19, I played both professionally. My dad said I had to pick one of the sports, and I thought cricket just had a long career. I thought I'd probably be better with that. And yeah, luckily I think I picked the right sport. And that's where in the space of 19 to about 24, the space of 5 years, my career took off quite quickly, and things happened very quickly for me.
Yeah. Who were your sporting idols when you were at that age?
Well, the last thing for me was still Alan Donald. I've always loved Alan and Sean Pollock. And then funny enough to be privileged enough to play with him was a big honour and privilege. So yeah, I was probably then too. It was probably my biggest heroes I followed.
It was a golden era for South African cricket. And you mentioned some of those great names there. And you went up against some of the best as well, notably Brian Lara, who you seem to have the spell over through the Test career.
Yeah, I think I've just been really fortunate against him. I think my action was so poor that I think Brian didn't really know what to expect, and maybe that counted in my favour. But I was fortunate enough to get him, I think, if I'm correct, 8 times out of 11 innings, I got him out. So, I was fortunate enough to get him out a few times. So, maybe that's my good action that played a part to that.
You're very modest. You're very modest. How would you compare him to Chris Gayle, or are they just completely different?
I got Chris Gayle out a few times, but he also hit me for a lot of runs. You take the wins and you take the losses, and that's how you get better as cricket, I think.
Yeah. And talking of the West Indies, I was actually there in 2007 when you guys absolutely steamrolled England in Barbados in the World Cup. And I think you had a pretty good day that day as well.
I think I actually had a decent spot. I think I was 3 for 20 odd, I think, if I'm correct. I can't remember exactly. I think it was 3 wickets. It's a real good spell, but it doesn't matter. We got to the semi-finals and lost against Australia quite convincingly. So it doesn't really matter if you beat England, you still want to win the World Cup. It's an unbelievable place to tour the West Indies, and it was a really nice World Cup, but it doesn't fulfill your heart as much if you're walking away with nothing.
Yeah, I know. That was quite an Australian side as well.
And that's one thing I'm really privileged and honoured, that I played for my country, and there's some real good Test sides we played against, and saying that I possibly played against one of the best Australian sides ever.
I think that's how you really measure your own talent, is by playing against some of the greats like that. And that's how you find out, I think, how good you are and how you can learn as well. So around about that time, you arrived in England playing county cricket, and you turned up in Essex. How did you find that? How's county cricket compared to what you've done so far?
Yeah, county cricket's, I think, a good learning experience for any cricketer. Do you now understand their bodies better and know how things work? And then eventually being able to come and coach at Essex for 3 years was a real nice experience. I was still young as a coach and I was still learning a lot. So those 2 years or 3 years at Essex was really, really nice and I enjoyed it a lot. It's a difficult way, it's a different way of coaching, where in South Africa is slightly more dictated by the coaches how to do things, where when you coach over here, it's almost more player driven.
Yeah.
And it takes time for you to get used to that way of coaching. But I've enjoyed my experience at Essex and the coaching style. So yeah, it's been good, and it was a nice opportunity for us then to move over here full time. Our family's here, and we relocated to England to hopefully stay here as long as we can.
Yeah. And there's some good players again at Essex, both then and sort of up to now when you've been coaching. Alistair Cook, to name one of them.
Yeah, Alistair's unbelievable cricketer. I was fortunate enough to play against him. It's unbelievable to work with him. Jamie Porter, Sam Cook, some really good cricketers at Essex, and all really good cricketers. The experience, like I said, was unbelievable for me to get an opportunity to come and coach county cricket. I would love to still be coaching county cricket, but hopefully that opportunity will come along hopefully soon. I've got enough experience and knowledge hopefully to share with county cricketers, so hopefully that opportunity will come along again.
Yeah, I'm sure. You also were in the IPL a few years back, and franchise cricket is what everyone's talking about at the moment. It seems to be almost like a monster overshadowing the rest of the world, the traditional game. How did you find the IPL when you were involved?
IPL was an unbelievable experience. It's just the amount of people that come and watch, how professional they are, and such a short, limited time. You've got 40 days basically to get a side together. It's just how all those different cultures pulled together. It's an unbelievable experience. I enjoyed it. I think that's possibly a good way of doing things now. You can see all these T20 tournaments around the world. It's getting players in to just strengthen and play with the local players to learn them on the job, basically. So, I think it's a great concept. And, hopefully it doesn't take away too much from guys wanting to play for their countries, where now it's really money dictated instead of the honour and privilege playing for their countries, and people now deciding to possibly play more RPL for money instead of playing for the country. And that's the only thing I think they need to find the right balance.
Yeah, that's right. I think still, if you're a serious young cricketer, I think still pulling on the whites and playing Test cricket still will be the ultimate thing. You can make the money later on when you...
Yeah, I think so. The honour and privilege playing for your country and saying that you played for your country at the highest level, it should be the biggest drive. But it's also the cultures have changed, the times have changed. People's now sometimes doing with money possibly, or the limelight of T20 cricket. Less cricket, more money. You got to consider that these days the youngsters doesn't want to work as hard maybe, but for me, it's always been the honour and privilege playing for your country and representing your country at the highest level, especially Test cricket. It's a true test. Hopefully there still should be cricketers out there wanting to do that, and they should be.
And you mentioned the youngsters, and it's important that the youngsters are involved and engaged with the game, and we get as many in. And the biggest growth in the last few years in this country has been girls' cricket, and I gather that's what your daughter's involved playing for the Willows at Chelmsford Cricket Club. Yeah,
I think the women's game is evolving so much, and it'll be a great opportunity even now as any coach to get involved with cricket or women's cricket, because it's growing so well and quickly. There's such big platforms now for the girls to express themselves, and I would love to even get involved with women's cricket these days, because there's such good opportunities to coach as a coach. And the biggest thing for me is I don't really care where I coach, as long as I coach and helping people to get better as cricket. So that's a real good opportunity. I know my daughter plays at Chelmsford, and I think that's how I sort of got roped into start thinking about playing cricket again. She was started to play cricket. She always plays hockey at Chelmsford for the last 4 years. Went to watch her, then she started playing cricket the last probably year, and I got roped into doing the umpiring because I'm probably the only person who knew the rules properly. And then also I started training to do the London Marathon this year, got a lot fitter, and then all of a sudden, like, so I think that's how things happened that I eventually got back to playing cricket again. I'm not sure it's the best choice because I played Saturday and I'm regretting it on a Monday because my body is so sore. But hopefully that gets better, and yeah, hopefully I'll play a bit more and get used to the pain again. The thought process is there, but the body can't back it up anymore. So I think these days it's just, I think, and the biggest thing is, and that's what I said to Charles Fiddens, that I desperately want to play, but they mustn't depend on me that I'm going to bowl the overs or win games with bat and ball. I'm there to play, socialize with people, but also there's a bunch of youngsters that I could assist and on the field, and that brings more value than me, and they depending on me winning games or bowling 9 overs every weekend. It's for me there to play a little bit, but assist and help the youngsters on the field, and I think that's the value I would bring to them, and that's why I think the biggest reason I'm wanting to play really is a bit of social side, but I think the value I can bring to helping the youngsters.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing. And the Essex League has got a great tradition in recent years of having experienced guys coming along. And the best thing is that how much the youngsters can learn and be inspired by having guys like you around to help them with their technique and just make them feel a little bit better.
I think so. And the brilliant thing is, like, we were playing this little boy called Jack. I'm not even sure what his surname is. I think he's 12. But he was so engaged in just wanting to learn. And it's my first game I played with most of them. And it's probably the first time I met half the team on Saturday. But they're all disengaged. And the biggest thing with me is just what you see is what you get. There's no airs and fares. I just want to help.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic. Now, before you go, I'm just going to ask you, the Ashes is about to start here in England. England are a different team to what they were 12 months ago. Everyone's excited. Have you got any thoughts? Who do you think is going to come out top in the Ashes?
I think it'll be a brilliant series. If England plays the way they are, it's going to be a risk and reward. And the English team has a really good bowling attack. I know Hazelwood's up, but they've got such decent depth. So if England can keep playing the way they are and take their risk and reward way, I think they've got a real good chance of winning the Ashes. But the other thing is also the Australians might take the same option because they will take attack. If they play attacking way, they'll play exactly the same way. So it'll be good to see how they change their game plan also. So it'll be a good series, but I think England will win 2-1.
Oh, strong prediction. Well, I think it's going to be fantastic. Andre, many thanks for joining us. We'll pop down and we'll prop up the bar at Chelmsford after a game one Saturday and exchange some more stories. But it's great to have you involved locally, and thanks for some of your reminiscences about the years gone by. It's absolutely fantastic. So, Andre, now, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Darren. Keep well.